this is Editor's Take. I'm Sakshi Batra and I have with me Gaurav Choudhury. He's the Deputy Executive Editor of Moneycontrol, and we are here to talk about the upcoming GST Council Meet and what are the big expectations from it. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for joining in. Now, we know that 1.5 years after GST implementation, this GST Council Meet is set to take place somewhere in mid-December. What are the big expectations? What could be on the agenda, and what's the next big thing we are looking at?
So what we now know is that the next GST Council meeting will probably take place in the week beginning December 17th.
Right.
Most likely on December 21 and 21st and 22nd.
Okay.
And this is going to be a big meeting considering the fact that sources have told Moneycontrol, and we have broken this story on the site, that there are going to be big cuts, tax rate cuts, especially those belonging to the 28% tax slab, which is the highest tax slab. And we now know for, according to our sources, apart from 3 categories of goods, automobiles, cement and sin goods or demerit goods like tobacco, etc., all the rest of the goods will be brought down to 18% or below. So that's a big significant development, because within 1.5 years of GST's rollout, 18% probably will be the effective highest tax slab, apart from only except for 3 categories of goods.
Right, so that's a big news coming in, and we are breaking this for you on Moneycontrol. You've heard it first over here. 18% could be the effective highest tax bracket of GST going forward, and this is the proposal that the GST Council could be discussing in the upcoming meet. So, Gaurav, now you talk about how these rates will be slashed. So, after 1.5 years, when we are seeing these rates being slashed, can we say that the entire process of GST is now stabilized completely?
Oh yes, and what the kind of goods that that are going to see their tax rates being cut include air conditioners and television sets and dishwashers and lots of consumer durable items. So clearly things would have stabilized quite a lot, and there seems to be more confidence both within the state governments and also the central government about the stability of the revenue trend and flow, although it hasn't yet consistently hit the 1 lakh crore per month run rate yet. But that said, I think both the central government and the state governments are quite confident about the kind of revenues that might flow in despite rate cuts. And I think all the rough edges seems to be getting ironed out progressively, including input tax credit and other systems, and that is why the government, both the central and state government, seem to be more confident to cut rates on a variety of items where there's most of these are mass consumption items.
Absolutely. Let me just ask you to expound more upon the revenue bit. Now that these taxes will be slashed, you say that both the center and the states are in consensus on bringing down these tax rates on several of these items who were initially in the highest tax bracket of 28%. How will it really impact the revenues going forward? And do you think the revenue target that is right now facing a shortfall will be able to be achieved even despite this rate cut?
I would assume that there will be a shortfall so far as the central government is concerned. In any case, states are protected if there is a revenue shortfall for at least 5 years under law. And so if there is a shortfall, the central government is they're going to be compensated for the revenue loss. So state governments do not have to worry, although a revenue loss is a revenue loss and somebody has to pay for it. For the central government, last time they cut the GST rate, and that was in July, they had to forego 10,000 crores worth of revenue. I think a similar amount probably would have to be, the center may have to take a hit of around 10,000 crore. But that we need to see that how it plays out in the coming months, because if there is an effective date that the government decides on the new lower tax rates, that these tax rates will come effective from, probably they could decide on a delayed rollout of the lower tax rate. Those are things that needs to be watched out for. But definitely in the initial months, a lower tax rate will lead to certain loss of revenue which the center may be willing to take.
Absolutely. But lastly, Gaurav, I want to understand, right now we are seeing this slash of rate cuts, but going forward, can there be also an instance when the government could feel the need to even raise the rates?
I don't think rates will be raised so easily unless there is a compelling need. And given the fact that there has been a lot of political talk around why in the run up to the GST rollout of GST in 2017, the Congress has been pressing that why 18% was not fixed as a standard rate. Now, effectively, after over a 1.5 year period, that has evolved. 18% has evolved as a standard rate. So that also takes care of that criticism. I don't think both the state governments and the center the state governments and the center will likely agree on any kind of a rate hike, because if not anything, it will all be very inflationary. And in election year, the government will like to keep one eye above the shoulder on which way the price line is moving.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for sharing all that insight. Well, it's a good news coming in for all the consumers. The highest tax bracket could be effectively set at 18%, bringing down prices for most of your electronic items, including ACs, televisions, dishwashers, and the like. So it's going to be easier for you, and definitely it could be an early Christmas cheer that the government could actually bring to you. But this is the first time that you're hearing this news on Money Control. We've broken this news for you. All the developments around GST you will be able to hear only on this platform on Money Control. Thanks very much for watching us in this edition of Editor's Take. Do stay logged on to moneycontrol.com for more news and updates. Thanks for watching.